Welcome, everybody, back to another Mindful Monday, where we provide resources, education, connection, and collaborations that support you on your wellness journey. And of course, I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Laura Ballet, White Sands Premier Travel, Vibe, and BAM Metrics, because it's these sponsorships that makes this episode possible. So I hope you are ready to empower yourself and those around you, because we have the incredible 3-time best-selling international author of The Science of Empowerment, Laura Ballet, with us. And she's joining us to help you ignite your in power in each of us and creating a ripple effect of empowerment for others. So let's get started in breaking free from outdated patterns, shed unnecessary habits, and elevate our lives to new happiness with Laura Ballet. Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Laura. I love it. Laura and Laura.
Yeah, no, I can talk to myself now. And you'll be okay with that.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what inspired you to write The Science of Empowerment, and how has your journey, shaped your perspective on personal empowerment?
Thank you. I love this question because it allows me a moment to acknowledge my brother, Christopher Brennan. He is a former USA gymnastics coach, and he's worked with Olympians his whole life and really was breaking into mindset development before it was like the sexy thing to do. And we both were raised with this very unique energy where our parents helped us understand that energy is in everything, how you speak, how you carry yourself, and how you interact with others. So even when we were little kids, we had an awareness about being energy beings and how we could affect or effect those around us. So when Christopher created the formula, the J3 = E formula, and I watched him train the mindset as well as the physicality, all of these kind of athletic champions in the making, I wanted to know what would happen if regular people like myself applied this formula, and then what would happen. And so from that set point, we just started thinking about using this formula in everyday life. And my brother would always say, "Sister, you need to write a book. You have a way of speaking the quantum field of what's possible in a way that doesn't make people glossy eyed. And even though there's complexities to my personal vernacular, I still am just a mom and a wife and a daughter and a friend. And I know what it is to go through what we're going to use this word normal day, opposed to Olympians in training. They have a very different mindset. Even when they're in school, they give up a lot of the regular stuff. I equate it to monks, right? If we all went into training as a monk, a lot of the human condition would dissolve. And so we would only focus on our personal development. And I wanted to write a life manual through a book where we are able to become masters of our mindset development while we are also navigating life. And so this really was the impetus for The Science of Empowerment. And I sat down, and 5 years later, the book was created, and then everything came after that.
Wow. So for one, I think it's incredible because I didn't grow up around, that knowing that we're all energy, or, like you said, quantum. And of course it's not good when you're glassing people over and they don't get it. But the fact that you got to grow up with that at an early age was wonderful. But what exactly is the J3 = E formula? I mean, how
I
did you
love
come up with that?
Yeah. So this is my brother's creation around these truly empowering words. And I'm starting to kind of be known around the globe about this empower to empower. And this is where we take the energy structure of words and we pay attention to them. And they're not just words, and we don't just, switch on a repeatable, right, pattern. We start to bring an awareness into our life. And the J3 = E formula consists of 5 principles and the awareness to 3 fields of energy. So very quickly, there's only 2 fields of true energy in the world, negative and positive. We put neutral into this formula because so many of us cannot move from a negative emotional state into positivity, right? There's just too much wrapped into that. We have beliefs, we have habits, we have patterns, and we have childhood traumas, and we just have too much in. So when you move through this formula, when I coach clients, and we start to look at what is our awareness to the moment that's presenting a challenge? What am I willing to do about that? What is my accountability in this interaction? Critical thinking is the fourth principle. It's a powerhouse. This is where, for the moment, we suspend the emotion and we start to think with higher intelligence. And it is absolutely in every single one of us. And then we move into the fifth principle, energy, negative, positive, neutral. Which one are you? So right now, for the listening audience, think of a challenge, something that's maybe disturbing you, disrupting your flow, your peace, your calm, and ask yourself, what am I aware of? What am I willing to do about that awareness to that particular challenge? What is my accountability? Am I blaming? Am I shaming? Am I feeling guilty? Am I getting frustrated? Critical thinking. Let me suspend all of that and start to think this through. And energy. I've just began to neutralize the negativity around that way of thinking. And through that neutral space, I now start to position myself into what I call the power seat of choice. Now I can begin to create more positive resolve to that beginning of that challenge. So it's five principles that you can run through. We do this with 7-year olds. My oldest client is in his 70s. It's professionally applicable, certainly personally. It helps change everything. And now we get to really elevate all existing challenges and create a very empowered life.
So really you can apply it to anything, personal, traumas, business, you name it, anything.
Everything. Yeah, there's no challenge that the J3 equals E cannot help to neutralize and then move into positive resolve. And I mean, I've had over 10,000 coaching hours and everything I've been through. And I have some clients at the second session, they already are just getting into it because I truly believe, I write about this in the Science of Empowerment, that coded within our DNA is everything we need to really live an empowered life. And that is a unique perspective for each individual, but meaning you don't need to be mired down in the frustration and the sadness and the guilt or the trauma. There are pathways out, and this is one of them.
Yeah, because as you and I were discussing earlier, yeah, we all get things thrown at us pretty much every day, whether it's personal or professional. So having a good formula, I can see how that would help to maybe get a different perspective, or to, as you said, stay in flow and move through it.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through an example of how it's helped somebody achieve a significant change?
Yeah, so I've got a few great examples. I won't say who, but there's been marriages that have been saved. I actually helped someone really guide them through suicidal tendencies from this. It was really quite remarkable. What you can do is look at just something simple. So let's just say you and your spouse, your partner, or your children. I don't know who has them out there, but it's quite challenging raising them in this day and age. So think about just a typical repeatable argument that you have. It could be very simple, like, why aren't you helping do the dishes? Why are you not bringing out the garbage? Why are you not picking up after yourself? Whatever that may be. And when you decide to look at that person and no longer judge their presence in that repeatable, now you can look at them and say, you know what? I am aware that you and I are having the same discussion, the same argument, the same conversation over and over. I am willing to take accountability for what I am contributing in. Are you aware that we are having the same interaction? And are you willing to start to begin to shift the way that we communicate? And what would be your accountability in this particular experience? And usually, someone, they may be a bit defensive, but they're like, yeah, I can see that we have the same dialogue. I'm willing to listen, or I'm willing to maybe stop the conversation when I feel I'm getting emotional or overheated and I'm really in a reactionary state of mind. And I'm accountable because it's you and me. I can't blame you for everything because I am here and I am contributing something to the interaction. And when you're kind of with kids or maybe someone that's hyper defensive, they may not be able to clarify the language in this way, but you'll start to pick up that they are trying. And that's what's important. And then you can really begin to offer them. Let's say, let's suspend all this emotion, the charge of the reaction. And can we think as if we have already resolved this and we now are speaking with more kindness? We're a bit more gentle to one another. What would that conversation now look like? Would you like to start? And then they usually can begin. Well, geez, wife, husband, mom, friend, boss, employee, I'm finding that when I go to communicate with you, I'm not feeling heard or I'm not feeling seen. But now that I'm aware that you also have something here happening and you're willing to maybe up level this experience and you are taking some accountability, I like the idea that we can begin a new language together that will help us neutralize the negative energy. And now together we can actually co create a positive outcome. And that in itself is how I have moved through this formula with clients, with leadership, career development. It really is an empowerment shift that changes everything.
So do you find it effective, and does it work with, because we have so many different personalities, out there. You have ones that see things differently, and or you have to communicate with them differently because they're just not at that level or at that spot. They don't communicate that well.
Yeah, and this is where you position yourself into the power seat of choice. You choose to be an intellectual human. You choose to exercise neutrality. You become the person that raises the awareness, becomes more willing, holds a deeper accountability so that critical thinking can come into the intersection of that challenge, and now you've neutralized it in less than a minute. So it's about you. You are empowering your abilities of how to show up in the world, which automatically, naturally begins to empower the other. The more you authorize balance and centeredness, the less on their heels the other person becomes. I'm not saying it happens immediately like that. A coach to a client, a speaker to the attendees, a writer to its readership is different when you're actually in it. But I move this formula through all of my days, every conversation. I'm doing it now. I'm very skilled at it. So maybe people listening won't pick up on it as much because their perspective and perception is in a pattern, but it's already seeding the mind development ability. Wow. I do kind of start that argument. I'm not so easily ready to let go of something. I like what I like the way I like it. They're already starting to get the thought process spinning around. And the power and the beauty of the science of empowerment is really what I specialize in, which is thought energy architect. And this is about understanding that you can redesign the way you think about thought. And when you start to move into this understanding that you really are a creative being, this can be a spiritual, a conscious awareness, and it also could be a very matter of fact. I have lots of gentlemen that are clients that think very linear, but then when they realize I can use creativity and clarity to think differently, and that will benefit everything around me.
So it sounds to me too like when you're working with people and stuff, you have to remove all judgment as well, right?
All of it.
Yeah.
Which is why we are in the patterns that we are in life, whether we're looking at the political environment, academic environment, whether you're, on the side of woke or not, it doesn't matter. When we are in judgment, which is almost all of us every single moment of the day, this is where conflict breeds. This is how conflict and chaos gain power. We judge. And this isn't to say you can't have feelings and thoughts about something that doesn't feel correct for you, but it's how we offer or invite that conflict to resolve that changes it. So I may say to someone, that doesn't feel right to me, but I also know intellectually, in order to move the needle, it would benefit us to think differently about that challenge. And then either the other person understands that or they dig down deeper. And then that's a place for you to decide, should I stay or should I go? Do I put my energies into this particular environment, or would I best be of service somewhere else? And this really is how we create, again, an empowered life to empower our world. We don't waste time where it is not being honored or valued. And again, that doesn't mean we agree, but we
Right.
create an atmosphere where we can talk and discuss. That allows me to soften my judgments and expand my perspective on what matters to you.
Yeah. I like how you put that. I always tell people, and when I don't, or you feel off, then for me, I need to like protect my space. And I just like, remove myself from the situation, or I don't get, or I don't go to those environments when I know there's going to be that there. But,
Yeah. And it happens to many of us, certainly the political arena, which I don't get into outside, conversations about. I have many friends that are in opposition of how I feel. And we have made a pact together because we value each other so beautifully for so many other reasons that we intellectually understand we're not going to let that influence the beauty of what we have together, because so much of political academia and everything that's outside of us right now is truly outside of us. It isn't who we are in our nature. It's just what we continue to become because so many of us are very easily influenced by outside forces. And this was really one of the directives of creating the science of empowerment, to remind the reader the outside influence has no authority over you. It seems like it does, but it really doesn't. And let me take you through this journey to remind you of how powerful you truly are.
yeah, I always say control what you can control and what you can't, let it go,
Yeah,
or it's okay to agree to disagree.
absolutely. And I talk to so many people about this, including my kids when they're in university and they have leadership and educational power, saying and doing things that is not quite appropriate within the classroom and the context of what they're there to learn. And I've had to express to them, if someone says one thing, please go to its opposition and look at what the opposition is saying. This will give you a perspective of how two different people can think about the same thing. Now you have to start to develop your own awareness, willingness into the situation, accountability for what feels right for you as you're growing yourself, critical thinking, take the emotionality, i.e., the reaction, out of the judgment, and now start to neutralize the information coming in and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've been emphasizing the importance of self accountability, which is huge, and the mindset. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors, but when we come back, I would love for you to share some strategies for cultivating that mindset in everyday life for people.
Wonderful.
So we're going to take a break and we will be right back.
PTSD, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and many other ailments. Introducing Vibe, the world's only pocket PEMF device. You place it in your pocket while cooking, cleaning, relaxing, watching TV, sitting at your computer, reading, or walking. Self-contained standalone device. No drugs. No other phone or Bluetooth connections required. No monthly subscription fees. No apps to download. No bozone. The future of medicine is in the frequencies. Come join the revolution.
Hi, I'm Bobby Aldridge with BAM Metrics. There are so many programs out there that measure your swing speed, sets, reps, your BMI, your body fat, but the one thing they're not measuring that's so essential is mobility. Mobility is the key. If you're measuring your mobility, your performance will get better and you will reduce your pain. I created BAM Metrics to make it easy for people to repeat the exercises so they could do it properly at home on their own. It's simple, it's easy to do, and from a senior to a pro athlete.
So, Laura, when you're talking about, like I said, the cultivating that self, I just lost my train of
Yeah,
thought. Self accountability. What can you share some strategies with us to, how to do that in the mindset and
yeah.
that they can practice every day?
Yeah, again, this is the power of the formula. It's really basic and it's so simplistic and yet so highly impactful. Self accountability is a challenge for most of us. We just don't want to be wrong. And we will die on the hill defending that my way or the highway. We all know what this feels like. The human condition is built to challenge us. And when we understand that every challenge is only in place to help us evolve or elevate or heal or just release and move past something, it becomes less of an anchor and more of a feather. And I'll use that as like a visual analogy. I really don't know any other way than the formula. This is something that we've worked since we were kids, and it has helped my brother and I navigate many personal challenges built within our family dynamics. Even though the love and the support has been amazing, but we're normal people. We've all gone through things, grandparents and aunts and uncles and, businesses, and we've all moved through the high and low and the ebb and flow of what the human condition presents. So I really think strategies outside of what we all know, eating well, and we're very big on nutrition at our training facility. My brother owns a neuromuscular training facility. So nutrition of the body and the mobility, which one of the sponsors was just talking about, the flexibility, all of this physical and conscious, physical and spirit, biology and chemistry is all entwined. And I think to begin mindset development awareness is simply in the morning, just ask yourself, how do I want to experience my day? And remind yourself that you are in the power seat of choice. How your day unfolds is at your directive. So now you begin to put up almost a very kind of movable shield or a force around you so that when something is coming in and at you that isn't particularly welcoming, now you get to go through the formula again. What am I aware of? That person's in a bad mood. No matter what I say or how I say it, it isn't going to change their behavior. So I'm just going to put a smile on my face or say something kind or neutral and go about my business. And sometimes that's a very empowering move for us. It doesn't mean you're ignoring. It doesn't mean you're putting it under the rug. It means that you are aware in this moment, it's not quite the right timing to address maybe a shift in the dynamics of what's bothering you. And then again, we go into our willingness. What am I willing to do? I'm willing to now go into self-care. I really needed to have that conversation. I needed to address that. There's something in me that's unsettled, but I can feel it. It's not right. It's just going to, again, we're just going to go into a pattern. What can I do now to calm that need, that pattern, that habit of behavior in me? And that could be meditating, eating something lovely, calling a friend, working with your coach, reading a book, listening to a TV show, a podcast. Do something that grounds you back into focus, that you are learning to empower your life. And it's going to take time, and it's okay if it doesn't happen overnight. Accountability, you just exercise that beauty of self accountability. I am an empowered individual, and I'm looking to empower the dynamics in this challenge, but it's not the right time. That's critical thinking right there, fourth principle. You're just not adding back in to that pattern, and everything is a pattern. It's either a negative or a positive pattern. And now energy, you've just neutralized a negative thought process, a negative behavior and pattern of your own, which is actually now creating an empowered life. So these strategies work because they're grounded in laws and principles around the structure of energy. And if you begin to look at everything from that standpoint of, am I negative, positive, or neutral? Before you even begin to speak, this is where your awareness, willingness, self accountability, critical thinking, and energy now become second nature. You're starting to understand that you are energy in motion, and which energy are you bringing in to your day? So, first and foremost, wake up, make a decision, empower yourself, choose how you are going to move through the day, and be protective of that, not through judgment, not through attitude, not through ego, not through negativity, but through neutralizing all intersections. That means everything that comes in, and looking for the positive outcome. And be kind to yourself at what you can create, and then what you need to let go of.
Do you have a specific routine for yourself that's not negotiable that you do every morning that keeps you in this space?
Yeah. I adhere to the J3 equals E formula. I don't break it. Ever. There's not one moment. And when I catch myself in negative reaction, when I catch myself in that negative pattern, when I feel I'm being triggered, right? And there's no getting away from our childhood, our young teens, our adulthood, marriages, failed successes, all of it. When it rises up, I immediately go into the power seat of choice. Is this going to have directive over me, or can I neutralize it and have a positive resolve? And it never fails. It just doesn't. It's a pattern. A quick example, I was at the gym training the other day, and I went to do quite a difficult skill for my level. My brother was challenging me. It's never about the physicality, because he would never put me in a position to do something that would hurt me physically. It was mental. And I went to do something, and immediately I wanted to say, I can't. And I went into my training. We're not allowed to say I can't anywhere in my environment. You can't even say, I'll try. So I took a breath and I went through, what am I aware of? My physiology is reacting. I'm not sure. I'm uncertain. Can I lift with my little fingertips that amount of weight and walk that course that he's putting me on? What am I willing to do? Breathe and remember, I am energy in motion. I was made from the same stuff that creates worlds. I've got this. Accountability, it's all on me. No one else is going to change the way my mind is working at the moment. Critical thinking, I suspended the emotionality, energy, neutralized it, decided to be positive, picked it up, carried on. Everybody that was there saw it. This happened within 3 seconds. Ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. I moved through the formula, thought about my coaching skills that I offer and my coaches that help elevate my life. And within 5 seconds, I mastered it.
Nice. So even though this sounds like it takes a lot of time to go through it, you have it down. Like
Yeah.
It takes more to explain it than it does for you to actually process and go
Yes.
through it.
And for the listeners, think about this. When we enter into patterns, which is basically all of our waking moments, patterns of the 60, 70, 80,000 thoughts that circulate, patterns of how we react to our boss, to our coworkers, to our children, our fiancés, whatever it may be. We don't sit back and think about the pattern. We just are the pattern. So when you want to interject a formula, knowledge, new ways of being in your life, you think this is this arduous journey. Oh, I've got to think, I've got to feel, I've got to be aware, I've got to critically think. No, you put the same amount of energy into the repeat as you would now put in to the positive resolve. Let the positive outcome become the new pattern. Your life will change, like immensely. It will change.
On average, how much time would you say that this takes somebody to get into this new pattern and way of thinking?
Yeah, it depends on their awareness to what is negative in their life. It depends on their willingness to create empowerment shifts. How much accountability are you willing to take? This is why reading something like The Science of Empowerment and being coached by the author,
Mhm.
there's a different guidance system, a different mapping to when you're doing it. I have found, as I said, I have one of my newest clients now, the second session, she caught herself. And I was like, yes, I was so excited. I run a 3-month minimum program because there's so much in, and people will get excited. It's like going to anything that inspires, but then really becoming this new, higher, and better version of yourself. We need support and we need the tools and techniques in there. But 3 months, most of my clients have such a great time and love it, and they keep digging into all other places. So 6 months. I do have some clients that go a year. I personally, as an empowerment coach, I stop everything after a year. If I haven't done my job where I feel I can set all of this free, then I would start to relook at my business and my knowledge that I bring in. Then I have clients that asked, can I have a maintenance package with you? And this is my favorite part. So it could be every other week, it could be once a month. And then they like to come in because life is ever evolving. People are in and out of new jobs, in and out of new relationships. Our children grow, our spouses change. So there is again, a beauty and a power to staying with me, but I like to move fast. I like to get results for my clients so that they feel truly the connection to their own ability to empower their daily routine. And I just kind of help. I just am like a really cool support beam for them.
Yeah. Well, and I've known another gentleman that I worked with or whatever, and I've been to his mastery classes and stuff. I call him Little Yoda
Yeah.
because he's like, there is no try. You do or you do not. There is no try. So, and it's like a trigger. Whenever I see him or I see his face, and if I start to talk, I instantly think I'm not trying. I'm either I'm either doing it or I
That's so
don't.
cool. I get
That's what
even
it
on.
reminded me of when you said there's no can't, there's no try, or I was like that just yeah.
And it's such a beautiful example. We all know, every listener will understand. I know what that feels like. I just want to give up. I'm too tired. It's too hard. It's too challenging. I got to take the dog out and cook dinner. No, that is a mindset. That is a pattern. You are, oh my God, the potential and the ability within each person to really change and transform our world is literally one thought away.
Yeah. That's just incredible. And I love that you do that because I can see that because obviously there's a lot of mindset work and, mindset shift that goes into play with your coaching with people as well.
Yeah. And it's something that we're all very capable of. We're just not taught it. Like my kids, they have been taught this and listening to me constantly my whole life. I've explained to them, if the middle lane is crowded, where do you go? We go to the right lane, mama. If the right lane is clouded, where do you go? We go to the left lane, mama. I'm like, if all three, we go over it, under it, around it. We find a way. And it's so cute when you hear them, but I'm constantly reminding them, you are an empowered, brilliant human being. And I do a lot of volunteer work in our inner cities from time to time, where I am with, you know, children that make our lives look like, we're the princess of Dubai, king.
Right.
And you have to be very thoughtful, but to remind them that when the outside conditions don't seem supportive, that is your life lesson to go deeper within. Keep going in, get creative, be empowered, visualize. If this outside were something different, what would it be? Then you get them, you can see the wheels start moving. I'd be a Marine, I'd be a vet, I'd be a school teacher, I'd be president of the United States, I'd be an empowerment coach. I just want to be a mom. You start to get them to think differently. And that's where they get that, what we would call an aha moment. They don't quite get there, but
Mhm.
they realize, I see what you're doing. I can think. And then you get them moving. Now we say, okay, go to school, go to the library, volunteer your little experience. Ask if you can be an assistant to some. You start to move them out. So this is for every walk of life, for every age. It is, again, it's a life manual of how to elevate the human condition. And it begins with self, and not in a self serving way. It is, let me know this journey. Let me explore and discover what an empowered life looks like through mindset development. Then when I speak out into the world, there's an authentic energy behind what I'm saying because I have lived it. And so I think that's why it's important. I didn't, the science of empowerment wasn't this alchemy of other people's findings, where I took it and created a course. It
Right.
was my understanding of quantum fields of all that is possible, my way of looking at, kind of the neural link within. How do I look at biology and cellular rejuvenation? How do I look at this as a whole structure of energy? And how can I help others understand what you feed the mind, what you feed the body will have an absolute directive on how you show up in the world. So eating well, listening to beautiful music, journaling. And again, this doesn't mean for those listening that maybe aren't spiritually or consciously inclined. That's okay. So look at it from an engineering perspective. What are your blueprints to live an empowered life? You're an architect. This is why I love thought, energy, architectural, work. Everything can be fit into the perspective of the person you're working with and what makes that work for them. That's the power of the formula. It knows no boundary.
Yeah, I love that. So, can you tell me, in your experience, what are some common barriers that prevent individuals from stepping into, I believe you call it the zone of potential?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is, again, every pattern that we all have. How can I be that? I'm only this. We've lost this connectedness to our confidence, and that really is the beginning. You are a creative human. You are. You can, okay, maybe you don't know how to look at a piece of land and build a house. Maybe you don't know what it is to cook a phenomenal meal. My husband is a former self-taught chef from France. Maybe you don't know how to write poetry. I have so many people that never thought they could write a book. What am I going to say to the world? Well, I don't know. Let's explore. So I really think that if you give yourself grace and some space to explore what might be possible for you, you will absolutely surprise yourself at what you can create, design, engineer. Do not think you are a limited being. That is only a patterned thought that is actually on repeat. We don't even press the button anymore to it. The story circulates. I had an abusive childhood, therefore I chose the wrong partners. I became an alcoholic. I'm addicted to this. Oh, beautiful. First session, kick, scream, cry, do what you have to do. Make sure you get it all out. Second session, are you willing and ready to show up? And now we can start to create an empowered life. I think I'm seeding a lot of language out so that something will catch that listener. I know what that feels like. I know what that sounds like. Oh my God, that's what I do. I do not want to experience this anymore. I am aware of that now. Boom, empower yourself. What are you willing to do? Oh my God, I'm going to get up every morning, put my shoes on. I'm going to walk to the mailbox and I'm going to come back because it's going to exhaust me mentally, physically. I just haven't worked my body out. I'm out of shape. I don't eat well. Whatever the present day challenge is, remind yourself that you are in the power seat of choice. When you remind yourself, I am the power behind or within the choice, my zone of potential will immediately activate. The law states this, science states this. You cannot have a thought about power and choice and not tune in to your zone of potential. You may not walk through it. You may not engage in it. You may not even activate it, but you will become aware of it. Once you are aware of your potential, what are you willing to do about it? Self accountability. Only you can activate it. Tune into it. Switch it on. Whatever word fits your lexicon. Now, critical thinking. If I want to tap into this zone of potential every day, I cannot waste my time connecting to the patterns of the negative thoughts that kept me away from my zone of potential. Energy, I just neutralized old ways of thinking. I'm aware of old ways of being. Now, through my zone of potential, I will become a higher and better version of myself.
Yeah. So I have to ask because I understand the formula and stuff where we're getting there, but everything is so fast paced today and people get overwhelmed. So do you have a practice of how they can snap into it or go within and find that inner energy and awareness?
Yeah. So I'll just ask again my clients, are you willing to explore what could be possible? And I've never had anyone say no. Never, never, not anyone ever. They may ask, what does that mean? What does the exploration consist of? It may be reading, journaling. It may be coaching, listening to an inspirational podcast. It may be changing your diet, exercising, stretching a little more, lighting a candle, doing prayer work, meditating. I mean, there's just a copious amount of modalities. And they're like, okay, I get it. And then I'm like, choose one, just one. And can you take 1 minute each day, somewhere, morning, afternoon, night, a quick break? And can you apply energy into that choice? And everyone can take 60 seconds to begin to exercise that zone of potential and to move through the formula. Yes, I am aware that I need 1 moment to myself. I am willing to block it out here, here, and here. I am accountable to that 1 minute every day. Through critical thinking, I now understand that if I allow my emotion to take over critical thought, I won't ever exercise that zone of potential. I won't ever get into that space of how can I become a better and higher version of myself. Energy, you've just neutralized, oh my gosh, eons of patterned thinking and shifted already. The neuronal pathways in the brain, just by saying, I will put 1 moment into self care, I will place 1 moment into the connection of my potential, I will create 1 moment to explore what could be possible for me. There's already sparks of connectors that are just boom, pinging in the brain mind matrix. We are built for creation. We are built to move into our potential and then quickly elevate it. And if you have a thought that I cannot activate, ignite this, let me guide you into a more neutral to positive thought. You absolutely can activate and ignite a new thought and follow through. You only have to choose to do it. Everything else is a pattern based from the past, and it will not serve your present or future self. If you find that you are blocked, it's an obstacle, it's a challenge, it's too difficult, go through the formula. That's just language that's connected to a thought, a belief, a pattern, a behavior, a habit from something that happened in the past. It doesn't serve us as well as getting present in the moment and creating our future moment.
Yeah. When that makes sense. And so when you're talking about releasing unnecessary habits, can you share a personal habit maybe that you had to break and what you learned from it?
Yeah, every day I work on it. I have kids. Yes. Just the other day, my daughter and I, she's 21. She lives at home. She's amazing. She's beautiful, but she lives at home, but she's 21. And at 21, nature is calling for independence. Nature is calling for young adult space. But when you are going to college and you are just working part-time and you need your mom and dad and you need the box to still remain in, conversations can be challenging. So we went to talk about future. What are you doing? What is your game plan? How are you projecting out into your zone of potential? What are you looking at rather than I'm going back to school in September, I'll work part. No, 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 that doesn't work. So I could feel her. She was feeling the pressure, the energetic pressure in that moment. I took a breath, and I tell my clients to do this all the time. I physically take a step back. Physically, when I am in the presence of another person and I'm trying to recalibrate the pattern, even if they're not aware of it, I am. So I physically take a step back, and that reminds me to ground the energy into the present moment. As I become aware that this conversation isn't going to work for her, I became willing to ask the question that was right up at the throat differently. I redesigned my thought process in a second. I asked the question differently. How do you think you could create a new way of looking to your future that would be fun, that would be exciting, that would actually feel good for you? Not my ideas, not my input. You tell me, what would it look like for you? Immediately, you could feel her. Well, haven't really thought about it. I haven't put too much thought. I said, well, that's a great awareness, because if we're not putting thought into something, we're never going to be able to shift it or prepare for it or prime the environment for it. So I said, are you willing to maybe come up with a couple of ideas, through your journaling or maybe meditating or when you take a walk? And she went to the gym last night. I said, do you think you could maybe take maybe a moment, 60 seconds, and come up even with one idea that might be fun about creating your future in the next 2 years of your degree? She said, yeah, I could do that. I said, beautiful. I said, that's really accountable to your future. That's very cool. I really admire that about you. I said, and I want you to be aware that you just exercise critical thinking. You put your reactions aside and you started to shift the pattern. We together neutralized the pattern of how we used to talk. And now we've just got a pretty cool positive experience, haven't we? All under a minute. She's like, that was pretty cool, Mama. I said, science of empowerment, baby. Science of empowerment. Off she went. Now, my old way is to be on her today. Did you think about this when you worked out in the gym? What did you come up with? Because that's the way my mind works. And I realized, nope, she'll let me know. And I let it go. I let it go because in order to empower my zone of potential, I have to be aware and willing and accountable to how I'm showing up. Even though I've got decades of experience on her, even though I have people all over the world that pay me for my expertise, this is my kid. She doesn't look at me like I'm an expert. I'm her mother. There you go. That's real time. And so I am coaching myself constantly. I am always recalibrating my patterns and my habits because it's important for me to empower my daughter. So when she goes out into the world, she will understand the experience of how to empower others. She will remember this at some point. Someone will be, and I mean this with all due respect, less evolved and less educated at that moment in their life. And she will be more evolved and more educated due to how I am empowering our home dynamics. This will set her in motion to empower someone else. Now we begin to really create a more empowered life. And it is that simple and it is that powerful. 1-to-1 all the time. That is how the masses start to accumulate new knowledge, current knowledge that can help them move from negative to neutral to positive resolve.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. And then in turn, you wind up empowering others that are around you because normally people that you surround yourself with have a tendency to mimic, what you do. So you
Yeah.
empower others as well. We have,
And really, if I may say, don't feel um, don't feel bad about oneself when you see that reflection coming to you, the disempowering or the empowering through these dynamic changes. Again, apply it to change and grow and evolve. Don't apply it to keep you kind of tethered to, well, I don't like that. Well, that didn't feel good. Well, what do you mean I'm not the greatest mother in the world? Don't take it that way. Take it in and be like, I'm aware that hurts a little bit, but I'm willing to recalibrate the thought process. I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. That's full accountability. You can't make me feel anything. Critical thinking, I've got it. This is my opportunity to create an empowerment shift for my own development, which will make me a stronger, more supportive, and secure mother for my daughter. Now I've neutralized myself, the dynamics, thus the world.
nice. I'm so glad you joined us today and shared all this. And I look forward to getting your book and reading all about the J3 equals E formula as well. We have about 2 minutes left. I have the YouTube channel up. So people can, do you have some of your tips or what do you have for them on your YouTube
Yeah,
channel?
so the really cool thing about the YouTube channel right now, it's at its infancy stage and it's lots of shorts and reels from podcasts that I do. So they get to see other leadership and what I feel their high potential, which I love. And there's some very unique videos, music and videos and power quotes. But I will be starting probably in September. I'm going to do what is called Elevate in 20, and it will be a podcast probably once a week to start, and then it will keep growing. And this is where everyone can come on in and really take 20 minutes out of their day, just click into it, gardening, cleaning, working out, where I will be taking the science of empowerment, the J3 equals E formula, and contributing all my new knowledge that I gain every day. I research and study every day. So it will be the foundational work of everything I've created, but it will be very current and it will be a very unique place for them to tune in. And also the website too. There's a copious amount of information on the website. You can get an entire lifetime of education on mindset development just perusing through. I have blogs. I publish articles all the time. I'm starting to put them on the blogs there as well. So, just subscribe and join and follow and be part of the growing community. And it's all within your potential to create an empowered life and truly contribute value and high level positivity into the universe, even while we are in challenge ourselves.
Nice. Laura, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, I hope you reach out, get her book, find out about the J3 equals E, because yeah, we definitely need more empowerment for ourselves and to empower others. I love the fact that you use that formula. And as you can see, once you get it down, and you definitely want to reach out to Laura, because yeah, that's everything when you have the coach and the accountability to help you through it. So
Perfect. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next Monday. Oops. There we go.